Slurpdy diddly Ned Flanders do. How are we all doing, my G's? I hope you are all doing absolutely wonderful today. Today is March the 26th. It's a Tuesday, 2024. I think that's the year, isn't it? Yeah. Arsenal are currently top of the Premier League in the UK. I'm very proud, and I haven't watched a single game for about half a year because every time I watch a game, we get thrashed. So I made an oath that I would never watch us again so that we can win. It's funny how God works, how everything is centered upon me watching it, isn't it? This is a great book. This is called Addicted by Tony Adams, and this is a story of a great classic Arsenal player who had a real struggle with alcohol addiction. And this is one of the books actually that got me past that point of no return, of not wanting to go back to drinking. When I was about 3 months in my no booze adventure, I think I read this and I was like, oh, okay, this sounds horrible. I don't want to end up like him. So that's one of the books that helped me to completely turn away from the booze. That's not to say that everyone should do that. Of course, it depends on your own relationship with it, doesn't it? Anyway, today I've got 3 garlic cloves here. So firstly, I'm going to throw these behind me, never to be seen again, because they're quite small, so the chances are I'm probably going to lose them behind the sofa or something. We're going to read some comments as well, but firstly I'd like to read a bit of scripture as well. So if you'd like to turn your Bibles to Numbers 18 verse 17, and we'll just begin quickly with one little verse here. However, the firstborn of cows, sheep or goats may not be bought back. They must be sacrificed to the Lord. Their blood is to be sprinkled upon the altar, and their fat shall be burned as a fire offering. It is very pleasant to the Lord. Let's read some comments. So, from the last video yesterday with the mixed clarity, thank you for writing. Just he says, great you do comments, but if I could be so bold to offer some advice, do it at the end of the video, okay? Use the first minute of your video to capture those who came for the title and thumbnail. Ooh, we're going to capture them in our fishing net. I have a question though. Do you sidechain your element separately or the buses? I usually use the export of the kick and snare with a tighter transient to trigger my sidechain. Would I be better having 2 sidechains on my basses, one for kick and one for snare? Or is this more of a track-by-track choice? Good question. I probably need to do another sidechain video. If you want to get really, really detailed and technical with your sidechain and make it perfect, then for me, drawing in the volume automation at that particular moment is key. Using the LFO or automation in your project, because when you're triggering audio from compressors or something, there's always going to be a bit of latency, so I prefer to do it directly in volume. Great question though, and yes, perhaps we'll do the comments at the end next time, but we'll see. Label mix is badass. Thank you, Iron Protoss. This was very helpful. Appreciate the content, says Granix. Thank you. Slurpdy Derp Big G says Mike. I've learned a great deal in how to properly make a D&B track. Peace and good health to all of your viewers. Thank you. All clear now, says Digipax. Do you sidechain elements to other elements that aren't drums to separate them? Yes, I think so. You can really sidechain from anything to anything if it's going to help with your overall clarity of your mix down, especially in the mid range and in the low end. Absolutely, I would sidechain, a bass against a vocal or whatever. Anything goes. Slurpdy diddly Ned Flanders do, says Derotum. Mixing and mastering tips every day. Get in. Nice one, Artifact. Yes, sorry I've been rambling for ages. Now let's dive in to a very, very niche and little and specific mastering tip, but it is something that I use, and I think it does help me a fair bit. and I want to share it with you guys today for when you're doing your own routing in your project as well, in your project, and also when you're doing routing when you're actually mastering your own tracks as well. So let's dive in. So here's my little tip for today, and it's really, really basic and easy. But as you guys know, I like to do the clipping to zero mastering method. I've been doing that for donkey's years, and essentially, when I'm mastering a track, I might have a load of plugins that to actually do the mastering, but then the final output will be clipped, so everything is going to be at zero. So here's a track that I mastered for the label by Rekiv Ibli, and it's sort of it's clipping just with a hard clipper so that it hits zero. Okay, and then what I tend to do is I'll put a gain plugin after the clipper. Okay, and you can see before the clipper it's exactly 0.0, and then I'll put on this gain plugin and I'll turn it down minus 0.01. Now in Logic you can't use the gain plugin to do this so precisely because it's got only it only goes between 0 and 0.1, and that's actually going to turn it down a bit too much. This is with the kilohertz gain, which is free anyway, so you can just download that. You can go minus 0.01, so it's a really smaller percentage, so you won't notice the difference, okay? But the point is, now when you look at the volume fader here, it will say minus 0.0, okay? So it's still so close to zero, but it does bring it just that tiny bit under zero. And the reason why I do this is because when this gets sent to the next channel, and then also I'll put it here on the actual master channel, and either way around, doesn't really matter. Once it's going to go out to the final bounce, it's going to be bounced out at under zero. It's going to be so fractionally below zero. But there is a certain thing that I believe, and I could be wrong here, okay, because it's a very, very small, subtle difference in the sound, okay? So you might not really notice it. Personally, I do believe that I can hear a difference, and it's a very, very fine, minute difference. But when you run the one channel, into the next one, and things are clipping at zero, and then you do it again, and you clip it at zero, and then you turn it down a tiny bit, so it's running into the next channel under zero, not in the red at all, like completely in the green, just because of that one little part makes it sort of in the green. It feels like it goes through smoother without having any changes done to it, because it seems like at the back end of the software there might be like a bit of how can I explain this? There might be like maybe a little bit of normalization or a little bit of alteration happening behind the scenes to the sound. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I've noticed that there could be in Ableton and in Logic, and I don't know about every other software, but there might be, and I believe that there is, a small bit of normalization or something that happens when it's at zero or above, that will change a little bit the sound, just a tiny bit. So, and just to be on the safe side, because you're only turning it down 0.01, so realistically you're not actually turning it down at all, like you're not going to notice that, but you're going to be on the safe side that when you're running from one channel into the next, it's going to be in the green, okay? Because if it was exactly on zero, then technically it's kind of still in the red. So if you make it 0.01 minus, then you're actually definitely in the green. And then you know that if there is any small normalization or sort of processing in the back end of the software that changes things when it notices that it's in the red, either from one channel to the next bus or from the output when it's exported, that could also be doing it there, you know that that's not going to happen, and it's going to be reading green, 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 and it's going to bounce it out as green. Okay, so I'll put a little minus 0.01 on anything that's clipping. There's times when I forget to do it. There's times when I don't remember, and then obviously, the difference is so small anyway. It didn't really, the world didn't end. Okay, but when I do remember to do it, I do feel like I get a little bit more power from the sound. Okay, that's the goal, to get the most power out of the sound always, And so when I do that, I know that I'm on the safe side because everything's always going to be in the green. It's not going to be clipping it it's not going to be, going through the software at exactly 0. It's going to be slightly under, and I feel like I get a bit more power out of the sound. Okay, and I could be wrong here. I could be overthinking it, but I've been doing this probably for the last couple of years now with mastering, and I do believe it's an important part of the mastering process. And I always do it on when I master professionally for clients, I will always do that, because I know, I say I know, 99% of me knows that it gives you a bit more power. Okay, let's take them off. This one's already mastered, so you probably won't hear the difference on this anyway. But when you're going through the production process and mastering process for the first time, I think it's good practice to do that. If I'm wrong, you haven't lost anything by turning it down minus 0.01. So there's nothing to be lost by applying this technique. The only thing that will happen is you will let the software know that the track is in the green, and it won't do any weird behind the scenes normalization in case it wants to. It won't do it. So keep it in the green, keep in the woods, stay safe. I love you. Goodbye.